The Saints lost to the Buccaneers. Rafe, I know you got a lot to say about that because you were so high on the Saints all year. When I told you that,
I forgot.
When I told you that in the playoffs, it's not going to be that way. But because the Saints lost, Drew Brees, this was probably his last game. They're saying he might retire. He's leaning towards that, and that begs the question: what should the Saints do at quarterback if Drew Brees hypothetically does retire, which everybody thinks he is?
Well, let me start off by saying you were right, Joel. I lost that argument. The Saints lost. It cost me a lot of bragging rights. So shout out to the Bucs. I do think Jameis Winston should be at the helm, though. I think he's had the full year to process the system. He's had the full year to learn under Drew Brees. And even though this was Drew Brees last year and it wasn't his best season, you still got a guy who's probably gonna be in the Hall of Fame. He's probably a top 5, top 6 quarterback ever. So you get a guy that you can learn under. And I don't think Taysom Hill should be the guy going over Jameis Winston. Just go off the simple fact of if you watch Jameis Winston, Jameis Winston is a better thrower of the football than Taysom Hill. He's just a better quarterback. That is what it is. And I think he has the talent where Sean Payton can utilize Jameis Winston more than Taysom Hill, not to mention Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara. If Emmanuel Sanders is not going to retire, he still has that 1 year left. So you got him, Jared Cook. So you have a great offensive line. So you have weapons out there with Jameis Winston can utilize. And we've seen, he threw 30 interceptions, but we've seen with good weapons, he threw 30 touchdowns too, and he had 4K. So this is a guy who can do some damage with weapons out there. So I think they should ride with the Jameis Winston wave, and that should be the quarterback.
So let me say this. I love Jameis Winston. I'm a Jameis Winston believer. I thought he was staying in Tampa last year. And if he stayed in Tampa last year, I said they were going to make the playoffs. I know he threw 30 interceptions, but people have to understand it's because of Bruce Arians' system. That's why. This is what I'm going to say. Jameis Winston's Bucs career, 121 touchdowns, 88 interceptions, 19,737 yards, 86.9 QB rating, and averaged 274 yards per game. A guy who came in and filled for Brees at some point was Teddy Bridgewater. With the Vikings, his stats were 28 touchdowns, 22 interceptions, 86.3 QB rating, and 205 yards per game.
That's with the Vikings?
Yes. But then when Teddy Bridgewater went to the Saints, he had 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 96.1 QB rating, and I believe a 5-0 record. Mm-hmm. If Sean Payton can get that out of Teddy Bridgewater, he can get that out of Jameis Winston. I'm a firm believer in Jameis Winston. He threw 33 touchdowns, also threw 30 interceptions, but he's also one of the 9 or 8 quarterbacks to ever throw for 5,000 yards. So he had a historic season for all the wrong reasons and the right reasons at the same time.
30 for 30.
For me, I think this. The reason why that Jameis Winston did not start this season when Drew Brees went down was because the Saints have no cap space. They knew that Jameis was going to light it up. And if he did that, he was going to get a contract that they could not afford. But because they didn't play him, everybody's still skeptical on him. He's not going to get paid much, and the Saints can keep him. You saw that throw on the trick play that was originally Matt Nagy's play design that Sean Payton stole, that Jameis threw Traquan Smith. You saw that pass.
He's a slinger. Pause.
Jameis Winston got his opportunity, and Jameis Winston did not disappoint. He said, watch this. With his brand new eyes and a laser eye surgery, he dotted him right there, right where the ball needed to be. I believe that Jameis Winston has a lot left. I'm really high on Jameis Winston.
He's still really young, too,
and I think he can revive his career with the New Orleans Saints. And I hope that he does because I love Jameis Winston. I think he can do it.
Wait, can I ask you a quick hypothetical?
He's 27, by the way.
So you were a firm believer that if Jameis Winston stayed, they were going to make the playoffs.
The Bucs, yep.
Yeah, so looking at that team now in aspect, do you think they would have made the playoffs with Jameis Winston?
Absolutely.
You think so?
They wouldn't have gone. They would have probably got bounced out in the first round or second. But
I think they actually might have had a better regular season. I think they would have had less success in the postseason, but I think they might have had a better regular season because of the chemistry. One of the biggest problems that they had with Tom Brady earlier this year was they weren't on the same page. I think maybe keeping Jameis Winston in that season or in that position this season would have eliminated that time for miscommunications on routes and things like that. But I don't think their ceiling would have been much lower.
I think they would have finished 9-7 or 10-6 with Jameis last year. with this past season. If he stayed, yep.
Does that get you win this year though?
I mean, the Rams got in with the 9-7 record.
So they okay.
The Bears got in with an 8-8 record.
But looking forward to what the Saints are going to do. First things first. It was pretty depressing watching Drew Brees play in probably his last game.
They were up too.
I picked the Bucs, but I wish he didn't go out as ugly as he went out because at the end it kind of got messy, and there were those 2 interceptions that I don't think were necessarily on him. But it's just unfortunate that we have to remember Drew Brees. That's going to be like the lasting image. But he's a legend, so not only is it sad to see him go, but now the Saints have a big question on their hands. Joel, you made a good point about their salary cap issues. I don't know what Jameis Winston's market is going to look like this offseason. One thing that should scare them is there's a couple of teams out there that are quarterback needy, and who knows? Maybe the Washington football team doesn't find their guy through a trade or the draft, and they overpay Jameis Winston, and he decides to go to Washington. Just a hypothetical. They don't have the cap to match even a decent-sized offer, really, to Jameis Winston. So, as much as it might be a little bit of a conspiracy theory, I don't think you're that crazy in saying that they sat him because they didn't want him to get a contract. Because if you look at towards the end of the game on Sunday, they played on Sunday, right? They were the Sunday night game. Towards the end of the game on Sunday night, there was a clip of Drew Brees on the sideline looking at Jameis Winston and saying, "This is your team now." I think that Jameis Winston is the guy they were looking to groom this offseason or throughout the season behind Drew Brees. I think he's the guy they want taking over next year, and it will be a lot of fun to watch him take over with the amount of weapons they have. Riv mentioned them all. There is so much potential in that offense, and I would love to see Jameis Winston, the way we watched him air it out in Tampa Bay. As much as he had the interceptions, you saw the arm strength too and the plays that he can make downfield. And now you bring him into New Orleans where we know about the weapons they have. I feel like they were kind of underutilized this year because you could see Drew just didn't have the gas left in the tank, especially coming off of that injury. And Taysom Hill, he cannot be a starting quarterback for a team over the course of the season. And I think that bringing Jameis back and making him the starting quarterback will help them twofold because Taysom Hill will still be there as a gadget option. So it's not like you're losing him, and I feel like moving him to a full-time starting quarterback will only hurt him because it takes away the surprise element of him coming in.
Because you can't get him hurt. You don't want him to get hurt.
Exactly. He's 30 years old. He's making $16 million next year. The only good thing about Taysom Hill is if Jameis leaves and gets another offer, his $16 million is less than over half the quarterbacks in the NFL. So you probably won't find many better options for the price than Taysom Hill. But I think they could get Jameis even cheaper than that. I think they'll bring him back. They'll still have Taysom Hill for the trick play, surprise options. And I'm excited to see how Jameis Winston airs it out with that Saints offense and working with Sean Payton.
I will say this. Jameis Winston, I think, appreciates the offer that the Saints gave them, the opportunity to learn under Drew Brees and that offense. And because of that, I think, because I'm pretty sure that Jameis got contract offers somewhere else, but he chose to be with the Saints to learn with them. I think that he's going to remain loyal. Even if another team offers, unless a team offers him a ridiculous offer, he will leave. But I think he will remain loyal with the Saints, and he's gonna stick with them.
Yeah, and I think like what you just said, he's getting that belief from a Hall of Fame quarterback. Like, all right, this is your team now, and understanding that, all right, he believes me, so I know I got to go out and show out. I think that's something that's definitely gonna boost him up and keep him there and wanting to exceed expectations. And like I said. Like we all said, Taysom Hill cannot start in this league.
And you watched after he threw that touchdown pass on Sunday, like he wasn't just there. He was a part of that team. As much as he didn't play, he was a part of that team. And he was a leader in Tampa Bay, too. I know he's had indiscretions in the past, but one thing you always counted on him was the hype-up speeches.
You remember that video?
Picking his guys up when they were down. Yeah. I remember the Quan Alexander game, the first game after his brother had passed. When the final second ticked off the clock, the first guy out there meeting Quan Alexander on the field was Jameis Winston. One thing you can count on him for is leadership, loving his guys, and trying to get the most out of everybody. And I think he's a perfect fit to come in and replace Drew Brees. I think the franchise believes in him. I don't see any reason why they would have brought him in if they didn't have, maybe a handshake agreement saying, we're going to keep you under Drew this season, but next season you're our guy. Because if you remember, there was talks about Drew Brees retiring coming into this season. I heard that he wasn't planning on playing this year. So I think they went out. They said, Drew, we just want you for one more year. Come out one more season. They got him back, and they said to Jameis Winston, we have Drew for one more year, and then it's all yours. You get the keys. And what better situation could you come into than Sean Payton, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara? The weapons are there. So I think that Jameis Winston has been 2 steps ahead of everybody.
Yeah, I agree. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that Jameis should be the next Saints quarterback, or would you want to go look in a different direction? Comment down your answer below.